Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Well, some of my remarks are going to probably sound a bit like an echo to you because there have been other speakers that have alluded to them, but certain messages bear repeating. You know, I arrived, I had the chance to sit down next to the ambassador, and to my left was my good friend, Senator Lieberman, and then the senator and I were joined by a mutual friend, John McCain. But how important it is to have people on both sides of the aisle embracing a particular cause. And then Senator Menendez is here following Senator McCain, and so all of you appreciate the either bipartisan or apolitical nature of the strong support that the National Council of Resistance of Iran has in the political world and in the diplomatic world, as personified by Ambassador Reese. And in the military world, we've had chairmen of the Joint Chiefs serving multiple presidents. In the academic world, and many of them are here. So the first thought I leave you with is that your relentless faith and commitment to your cause is absolutely at the epicenter of the ability of our government to finally accept its responsibility, which they had in their back pocket for over a decade, to provide for the safety and security of the MEK. But for your persistence and faith and belief, and frankly in some of us, that we would continue to push as hard as we possibly could in an appropriate way to see that they were able to leave the encampment, the imprisonment virtually, and move to Albania. So it's not a sense of self-congratulation, but I hope it's a sense of pride that those of you who have supported this cause feel today. A certain sense of celebration. And I think all of us can't wait to go to that perhaps National Liberation Day in Tehran when we will replace a theocracy with a democracy. That's what the cause is all about. But I want to revisit that notion that this potentially moderate regime would change its behavior, be more welcome into the broader global community. The hope that they would change their conduct vis-a-vis their citizens and their neighbors and, frankly, the rest of the world. Well, we know it hasn't happened. If you're intent in not only embracing the agreement, but the spirit of the agreement, you would not have test-fired missiles in March or October of last year. If we're going to become that moderate regime, which was our hope, that was sensitive to the human rights of your own citizens, then you wouldn't have executed over the past couple of years the highest number of political dissidents and members of the opposition than they've ever done in previous years. You wouldn't be executing minors. You wouldn't be executing women. You wouldn't be hanging people who supported publicly opposition to the existing regime. Certainly doesn't sound like moderating behavior, at least in our terms in this country and in the democratic world. It's involved in destabilizing the region and the neighborhood. The single most significant destabilizing force throughout the Middle East, it was, it is, and the foreseeable future will be, is Iran. Rouhani, the mullahs. Everybody has a picture of the horrific genocide that's going on in Syria. One that comes to my mind is that little boy face down on the shore, trying to escape the oppression and the violence and the hurt and the pain of Syria. This massive refugee crisis, 400,000 people killed, millions trying to exit. in which the primary destabilizing force supporting the radical regime of Assad, it's Iran. They've got troops in Syria. They're funding militias in Syria. They're providing arms, let alone what they're doing in Yemen and other parts of the region. And it still remains the #1 terrorist state in the world. So continued human rights violations at unprecedented levels, massive destabilization in the region, which is not only contrary to the interests of the neighboring countries in that region, but to Western values and interests of the United States, ballistic missile testing. So there's every reason to believe and to be hopeful that the president-elect and his foreign policy team will bring a new set of eyes and a new attitude and a new approach toward this theocracy. I'm very hopeful that that's going to happen. But there's another element to being able to encourage and support, and that is the sustained commitment of all of you. And I know some young people here. When I look at the audience, I see young people, and I assume they're members of the staff. But now at my age, when I look to an audience, everybody's younger. But I look to the men and women here who work on the Hill, in the House or the Senate. And first, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us. When I had the privilege of serving in the House of Representatives, one of the things that I was very proud of, and I think Senator Lieberman would tell you the same thing, is you got great, talented young men and women, I don't care which side of the political aisle you're on, interested in learning and giving counsel and supporting their individual member on issues that they believe in. So I want to thank you for taking the time to familiarize yourself with the group that has supported the Iranian national resistance and our objectives. And we know the objectives. It's an aspirational goal, but it's a doable goal. It won't be done overnight. We have to sustain our commitment to replace a theocracy with a democracy. To those of you who have supported with your tireless effort, your financial support, your encouragement to the men and women, and even the dissidents, the quiet dissidents in Iran itself, your sustained support is absolutely invaluable in this effort to effect a regime change. It's been said many times before, and I'm not going to give the original quote justice, but it goes something like this. Evil prevails if good people are quiet. Iran is an evil regime. There is no freedom of the press. There is no freedom of religion. Human rights violations are extraordinary. They rule with an iron fist and an iron hand. They're destabilizing the region. And unless good people, such as yourselves, and countries committed to human rights and freedom and democracy such as this, do all they can to effect a change, they'll continue to bring those corrosive forces to that region and, for that matter, to the rest of the world. So I conclude my remarks by thanking you for your support. This is a cause worth doing and a cause worth fighting for. I'm privileged to be in your association and with Senator Menendez and Senator McCain and the Ambassador and Senator Lieberman. Thank you very much.